Oh, I'm going to text radio lady.
Oh, yeah. So live.torontomike.com is... why isn't she down here with us? She could be co-piloting. I need a co-host.
If traffic wasn't so bad, I would suggest she come now.
I feel like playing romantic traffic. I did an episode with Michael Sadler. Do you know Michael Sadler?
Yes, from
Let's see if you know.
Saga.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Or Saga, as they say. And I had a co-host for that because I had a super fan down here because I don't really speak Saga. I just know Turn Me Loose. Is that the one? Yeah. On the Loose. No, I got the wrong one. You're right.
Yeah.
I get those confused. They're both good songs, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this because you know good songs. Here we go. You do the texting, I'll do the thing. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Rewind up with the Packham, who is also known as Blair, and Mikey Boon Boon too. Rewind up, looking back and yippee-hopping on the air for the quarterly review. Rewind up, skiddly boddly doodly. Rewind up, bippity boppity noodly. Rewind up with the Packham, who is also known as Blair, and Mikey Boon Boon too.
Still great. That's the third time.
Still cracks me up.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Mikey Boon Boon. Thank you.
For the quarterly review.
That's right. For the quarterly. Yes. Yes.
Yes, guy.
Yes, guy.
Welcome to episode 1813 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by retrofestive.ca. Canada's pop culture and Christmas store. Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Nick Aini's. He's from Fusion Corp Developments Inc., and he's the host of Building Toronto Skyline and Building Success. 2 podcasts you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Today, returning for this third episode of Rewinder, it's Blair Packham.
'Tis me.
Welcome back, Blair Packham. It's been, I guess, 3 months. If a quarter's 3 months, I'm just doing the math on my abacus over here. It's been 3 months since I've seen you.
That's right. We haven't seen each other in the interim, have we?
Well, here's the thing.
That's
So
unusual.
we're going to catch up with you off the top because you
Okay.
actually live an interesting life. But 2 TMLX events have happened since I last saw you.
Yes.
TMLX 20, which was at the GLB Brew Pub at Jervis and Queens Quay, and just last weekend, TMLX 21, which was at Palma's Kitchen in Mississauga, and that was a live recording. You attended neither of these events.
That is correct, and I actually feel bad about both of them. The one, I had a good excuse for both, but less of a good excuse for this last one because it was really that I was tired. And
That's actually, you could have caught a ride with maybe with Alan Zweig, who was there.
That's right, Alan, and maybe Simon Rakoff.
He was not there, though.
Oh, okay.
But I know that Jim Shedden was there.
Yes, I like Jim.
You could have
I don't know
accompanied
Jim
him.
very well, but you're right. No, it's just that I was tired. I had played the night before, and I was playing the next day. I played with the Jitters the night before, and the next day I was playing a gig in, Font Hill, Ontario.
So we're going to cover a lot of ground in this first part, which is like, what's new with Blair Packham? I'm going to call this. That's the name of this segment because it's international. So we're going to even leave the country. But while we're still in Toronto.
Okay. So should I just go on unprompted?
Well, I'm kind of prompting you, but I was letting a little bit of the jitters.
Well, what have I been up to? Okay, so there's a jitters thing going on.
Well, tell me. Let's start with the jitters. You played Hugh's Room. Tell us what's happening in Jittersland.
Well, we got together again to play for the second time since the pandemic, and it was at Hugh's Room on the 28th of November, and it was really great. Actually, it was like really great. I'm still getting people sending me messages saying, can't get that out of my mind. You guys were so great. I get messages on Facebook, and it's amazing. Actually,
can you name check who was in the Jitters in this iteration?
This iteration was the same as last year's. It was me, Matthew Greenberg, our original bassist, and David Steinberg, our oft-time drummer, David Quinton Steinberg.
Of course.
Of the Peterborough.
FOTM, David Quinton Steinberg.
That's right, of the Peterborough Quinton Steinbergs. You might know them. They have a large property. Anyway, but then we were joined, as we often have been over the years, by Victor Darcy on keyboards, and replacing the missing Danny Levy was Michael Zweig.
See how it all comes together?
Yeah, so Michael Zweig.
FOTM Michael Z.
Yeah, Michael Z. He and I, so Alan's brother, brilliant guitar player, lovely guy, dear friend of mine. We were roommates back in 1980 and 81, and I think for about a year and a half, two and a half years, something like that. And I just love playing music with him. We had a band together in the 90s, and anyway, he's a wonderful guy.
Well, he's very talented.
Yeah, very talented. Really, really great singer and a great guitar player. I miss Danny Levy.
Why was Danny Levy not part of these? He's a key member.
He was a founding member with me. It was our band, and then we invited Matt Greenberg in, and then we found a drummer. Initially, we found a guy named Dave Taylor, who remains a friend of mine. But then Glenn Martin joined the band for a long time, and Glenn and I don't hang out. I wish I saw him more, but I think his feelings have been hurt by the fact that he hasn't been part of these reunions. But the reunions are always spearheaded by David Quinton Steinberg, who's a drummer.
Yeah.
And it would seem weird to me to go to David. Great idea, Dave. Now I'm just going to call Glenn.
Right.
All
right. Yeah, and those, you should know because he's an FOTM, but he's from the Mods.
Yeah.
And he's played in Alex Lifeson's new outfit, Envy of None.
That's right, and he's
the Rush lawyer.
And he's Rush's lawyer. He's got a new album coming out pretty soon.
Jeez.
So he's a lovely fellow, but it's not. None of that plays into why we haven't played with Glenn. It's really just the sort of David drove this bus, and to then say to him, "Okay, thanks, Dave, for the idea," and then also I'm just not in touch with Glenn, whereas I talk to David pretty much every day. So, but I do feel a little bad about both about both Glenn, and Glenn's a left-handed drummer too. That makes it complicated for him. He can't just come and sit in. But
I don't even know what that means. Like,
it just means so if you're playing,
you need
like
a special
this,
kit.
No, it just means that the kit is switched around so that you're playing left-handed.
Okay, I got you now.
So what it means is that if you're playing with on a regular right-handed kit, you can only play so much because the drums aren't in the right positions.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, between him and Danny Levy, in addition to feeling great about the Jitters gig, I also feel a little bad because Danny has a particular way of playing that was really a huge part of the Jitters sound. And although Michael is great, it's just a different approach.
Well, yeah, Michael is great, but it would be good to get Danny back. Here's hoping it happens one day soon. And do you already know? Have you already talked to Jane Harbury? When do you play Hugh's Room next? This is a happening thing. Yeah,
it's a happening thing. It won't be for at least a year because I think what happens with legacy acts like ours is people will come. I mean, there's only 2 or 3 songs that people are going to maybe know. I mean, that's reality, right? They're going to know that song you just played, maybe. That's When I Need You. They're going to know Closer Every Day. They're going to know Last to the Red Hot Fools.
They might
are the big
know
3. Till the Fever Breaks. They might know Bridges Burning. Maybe if they're real fans.
But that album, can we even get that album? That's the Lost album.
I think you can get it on Spotify now. But
really?
Not that I'm a fan of Spotify, but I think so. I mean, you could look it up while we speak if you want. Not to. All right.
Maybe Radio Lady will look it up for me.
Exactly.
She's on the live stream here. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of ground to cover. So that's amazing. The Jitters
had a great time. Had a nice full house, not sold out, which is fine by me. Oh, well, it's not fine by me.
What is the sellout at Hughes?
Sellout at Hughes is about 200 people.
200 people.
So we're about 120, and
okay, that's good.
Very respectable for a band of our legacy. And what I was trying to get at when I was saying the 3 songs or 4 songs that people would know is that. Yeah. You're committing for the evening's entertainment. You're not just there to hear, These Eyes or, American Woman. I don't know why I'm picking on the Guess Who, but
they get lots of hits.
Yeah, they have a million hits. We don't. And so I have no illusions about that, but I do know we fucking rock. And we were funny and we were charming and it was a really good night.
Well, you got a good rap on you.
Yeah.
That's why you were in radio. Okay, that's why you're co-hosting Rewinder. And again, we're not finished catching up with you because there's a couple other big things I want to touch on. But I do want to just remind the listenership what Rewinder is real quick here. I have a tendency to roll into Rewinder like everybody knows what the hell it is. And then I'm like, I should reset this thing real quick here, which is that we have a quarterly episode with Cam Gordon and Tyler Campbell called FOTM Cast. And it's super meta inside baseball. And that one, the next episode is January 2nd, 2026. But I felt like, okay, we're going inside for FOTM Cast. We need to look outside, like for the Great Unwashed, something that sort of does something similar, but obviously not the same as what Mark Weisblot might have done when he was a regular guest on Toronto Mike.
Right.
Shout out to Mark Weisblot, who is definitely listening right now.
Nice. Hi, Mark.
Hello to Mark.
Yeah,
okay.
Hello, Mark. Yeah.
You're not going to do your impression of Mark Weisblot?
No, I'm not.
You retired that impression?
I retired it. I've decided to only do 3 impressions only.
Okay, who are the 3 you do? Who do you do?
I've done this before.
Okay, do it again. It's like greatest hits.
Well, I do.
I do Alan Rickman.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Severus Snape.
Wow.
I also do Jeremy Irons.
They're very similar.
Yes, and Shaggy.
Oh, I can hear it.
It wasn't me.
Mr. Boombastic.
Mr. Boombastic. Stop that, Shaggy. I've had enough. Oh, sorry, Alan.
You can see if you can differentiate between these 3.
No, there's no differentiation.
But you do a good Weisblot, and people can find it in the archives.
I suppose that's true.
Maybe your first visit.
My feeling I really like Mark, and we at the TMLX events, we have conversed, and I've really enjoyed it. And if there's honestly, I'm serious about this. If there's the slightest chance I've hurt his feelings by doing that impression, I don't want to do it. You know, no, I think you know what? People have done impressions of me, and even if I love them, I think, you know what, fuck off.
I was done with love, and you haven't done it in a while. But I don't think he was upset at it at all.
I don't know for sure, but
he's ripe for parody. Like to be honest, like I think he's
a real character on the air.
But he's got a unique delivery style, and when you have such a distinct, unique delivery style, and you're so beloved as 1236's own Mark Weisblot is, you're ripe for parody. Like it comes with the package.
or ripe for loving tribute. But an homage. I just don't want to. I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping. Here's my hope and I think this has come up a couple of times recently. But 2025 is the first calendar year in I think a decade that featured no Mark Weisblot on Toronto Mike.
At all.
None. Because in 2024, he appeared one time because he showed up at Christie Pitts when we were recording at a Toronto Maple Leafs baseball game. But 2025 has no Mark Weisblot on Toronto Mike. First time in a long time. And I don't want that to repeat in 2026. Damn it.
Yeah. Well, if Mark is listening, and I suspect he might be, I hope he hears that message as one that's meant to be encouraging and hopeful and so forth.
Okay, let's close because it's going to segue into a quick partner mention, and then we're going to roll with, again, Rewinder. We're going to look at radio, television, print. We're going to shout out Ridley Funeral Home on a couple of notes. We have a lot of ground to cover. We do this every single quarter.
Yeah.
But you went to Berlin.
I went to Berlin in a fit of spontaneity, and I went with a woman. It was our 3rd date.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a disaster. Here's the thing: could have been a total disaster, but we both agreed that worst case scenario, we'll get a plane ticket and go home, separately. But it didn't turn out like that. It was great. I mean, we're not together as a couple, but we're really dear friends. Because after we got home from Berlin and really had a spectacular time, really. Berlin is an amazing city, and I could have maybe enjoyed it as much with somebody else, but this woman whose name is Tanya was fantastic, and just sort of game for like going places and trying things and new restaurants and and so forth. And we traveled around Berlin on those electric scooters, those rental scooters, everywhere. Right. We didn't take an Uber the whole time we were there. We didn't take a bus. We were on these scooters in the middle of the night coming home. We went dancing. I don't go dancing, but I did in Berlin. And coming home in the middle of the night from dancing on these scooters back to our really nice hotel. And it was a relatively cheap holiday too. So on the way home, she said, I'm going to New York next week to visit a friend who's dying, unfortunately. But she said I could extend my trip a little bit if you wanted to come join me. So I did. So I went to New York with her as well. And I'm a little embarrassed about going to the States during this elbow ups period. But, a woman, if anybody could convince me, it would be a woman.
This is a terrible pun that is intended, but for the warm embrace of a woman, that trumps your commitment to the sovereign nation.
Well, I don't believe that my going to New York, with my new friend, was going to cause the downfall of Canada. But I also didn't trumpet it, no pun intended, on Facebook because I wasn't proud of it. But I'm also not ashamed of it. It is what it is.
You don't want to piss off Mr. Swinghammer.
No, and I probably would, although I don't know that he knows. I did run into him on the street recently. It was lovely to see him, and but I didn't say, "Hey, by the way, I just went to New York."
Guess where I was? Enemy territory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say, they were the people that I visited there. I have friends there, and the people I visited were talking less about Trump than we do here. There wasn't this palpable sense of imminent fascism. It just felt like New York.
Okay, so I have a question. That's okay. I'm going to ask about the woman, though. So
okay.
So again, you weren't committed. That just is code for that you could date other people, right?
Yeah.
But your date. You said it was a third date. So you're seeing a woman who you obviously like enough that you'll go to Berlin and then New York.
Yeah.
Which is a wild third date. Like, this is crazy talk here. And what's the current status of this relationship?
We're friends. She's
not
away,
lovers.
She's
just
away
friends.
right now. Yeah,
okay.
she's away right now, in Costa Rica, and we'll see where we. It's sort of a day by day kind of thing. She lives in Collingwood, so it's not geographically convenient, and
could be worse.
There are other reasons that are hers to share should she choose to, but there are other reasons why this relationship status makes a lot of sense for both of us. And so I won't go into them in public. But
well, later I'll ask you about that. But when you said day by day, I was going to correct you and say that's not the Jitters. Okay, that's Doug and the Slugs.
Yes, who you feel are a huge influence for some reason.
Listen, I haven't brought it up in years.
That's
because
true.
I took the note. I took the memo.
Okay,
so that's from episode 1. But you did say day by day. And I have an update about the Jitters. Speaking of the Jitters.
Yeah.
Carlos Delgado is on the live stream.
Okay.
And Carlos Delgado reports that the Jitters and Louder Than Words are both on Spotify. But that's not what is the name of this? Isn't there another album that
No, that's that is thank you, Carlos.
Okay, Louder Than Words.
That is the name of the lost second album. It was deleted by EMI before they were sold to Universal.
Right.
I guess Universal has revised.
It's been resurrected.
Yeah.
Because the people are demanding.
Well, I don't know about that, but there are, like, honestly, those are some good songs. Like, I can say that because
great production.
Well, they were co-written by Jules Shear, who's one of my favorite songwriters ever. So sometimes I'm singing those words that maybe a verse that he wrote,
right,
or a chorus we wrote together or whatever, and I'm thinking, man, that's good. I could sing them for you right now. I mean, sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I need accompaniment.
Okay.
Yeah. But honestly, seriously, like, playing them the other night was a real privilege because those songs, the first album with Last of the Red Hot Fools and Closer Every Day, it's a strong record in some ways, but there are also some lyrics on there that I'm not that proud of. Whereas on the second album, there isn't a word that I'm not proud of. I'm all of it. And it's not as poppy, but it's a really, those are some good songs.
Have you considered re-recording those songs with the new lyrics you've written and then calling it Blair's version?
Like the first album, the song.
Yeah, the first album.
The only thing that's really egregious to me is the bridge of Closer Every Day. I believe I've quoted myself on this podcast in the past.
Okay.
I don't like the words to the bridge specifically of Closer Every Day. I know you're racking your brain.
I know. Can you do it? Just humor me because I have a lot going on here.
Okay, so this is, remember, if you're familiar with the song, it's about feeling optimistic about, love and life and things are happening, man. And then we get to the chorus where I have doubts because in a bridge, you want a bit of a change in point of view or a change in mood or whatever. So I had doubts that I was getting in too deep. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah. I
was always in a daze and I couldn't get to sleep. Okay, no, don't do that.
I've heard worse.
But you had faith, and you always had the time. The time. I think, wow, what a low bar. You always had the time.
Well, you made the time.
Now here, this is the kicker. We finally found the answer. That's okay. and now everything is fine.
Oh, you rhymed fine with fine.
No, fine with time.
Time, right?
But,
sorry.
But the thing that makes me laugh so much is like, when you ask me how you doing, I'll go, I'm fine. It's like, it's not great. It's not like,
right.
It's not excited. And here I'm talking about the love of my life or something. And everything's fine.
As far as like, I don't love these lyrics. Okay, you're always going to be your own harshest critic. I don't think anyone's said to themselves, "Oh, these are awful lyrics." I think I've heard so much worse. I think they're fine, and I wouldn't touch a thing. Even Blair's version should be the same lyric.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have thought of re-recording because we've had offers to license the songs for various commercials and film and TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These days, probably more ironically than anything else. But the masters are owned by Universal,
right?
And they have no interest in doing so. Unless the money's
you
really
gotta
great.
You got to re-record these things, and
people do all the time.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry did a whole album of his greatest hits for Mercury when he signed to that label. He was originally on Chess, and he did the versions that he played live of Johnny Be Good and stuff like that. They were terrible though. They're like modern recording technology, so they sounded clean,
right?
But they were. Like they'd evolved over the years when he was playing them live, and so they were sort of jammy and not very tight, and they lacked that original energy, and so I don't want to do that.
Well, I had on this very program since your last visit, I had the great singer-songwriter Paula Cole.
Oh, you did?
Program.
That's so great. She is a great singer-songwriter.
And somebody owned her masters, and there was a huge ugly fight or whatever, and she re-recorded I Don't Want to Wait.
Yeah. I like that we said that together.
Yeah, I think it was for Dawson's Creek streaming. Like it was something like that where because they had a fake song. It was Jan Arden actually. They commissioned Jan Arden to record a song, and that was what you would hear as the opening theme of Dawson's Creek on certain streaming services. Oh. Not I Don't Want to Wait, which everybody thinks of as because it aired on TV that way.
Yeah.
But there was like Paula's version. She re-recorded it, and they used that. Because they couldn't, whatever was going on with whoever owns these masters. So it's always interesting to hear artists and who owns the masters and do they re-record their stuff.
Right.
And
everything. We in the 90s we got a call from Alberta Telecom. I got a call from Alberta Telecom, and the ad agency representing Alberta Telecom wanting to license Closer Every Day because of its association with the Oilers. So this is in Alberta. It would have been a province-wide campaign that would have paid upfront $20,000. Now, how it works when you license a song to a commercial or to a TV show or whatever is there are two sides to the license. One is the master use, which is the recording, and the other is the song. And it's important to make a distinction that the song is distinct from the recording, right? The song, if I sing it, Closer Every Day, I don't suddenly turn into a vinyl record turning on a turntable.
Right.
I'm just singing the song, which exists in the air as intellectual property.
Right.
That song was written by four of the Jitters, the four Jitters at the time. And we didn't have a keyboard player yet. And so there were four songwriters, equal songwriters. So we would have received upfront for the song, we would have received $2,500 each. And the owners of the master would receive $10,000, right? So totaling $20,000. EMI at the time, 90s, didn't want to do it. So I called the woman I knew in business affairs because we were on that label, so I knew the people, right? And I called and I said whatever her name was, and I honestly don't remember. Judy, what's going on with this Alberta Telecom? They made you know about this? And she said, oh yeah, it's too much trouble. I said, no, what do you mean too much trouble? And she said, well, it's not enough money. And I said, it's for Alberta only, and it's enough money for us, and we wrote the songs. All you have to do is say yes. And she didn't. She said, it's too much trouble. We'd have to get legal involved. And I said, you're legal. You are legal. And that's your department, and all you have to do is sign.
Right.
Literally. And I said it would mean $2,500 for each of the band members, which is significant. $10,000 may not be significant to you guys.
Right.
But to each of us, $2,500 is significant. And she wouldn't budge.
Wow. See, I love these inside stories here.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we spend, 2 hours talking about Blair Packham, although I know there's one more topic here to segue us over. We do have to get to Rewinder because there's some ground I want to cover.
Rewind.
But
Sorry.
I understand you attended the Andy Kim Christmas show.
I did. It was fabulous. Massey Hall. Andy sent me a text earlier, I guess, what was that, Wednesday night? He sent me a text like Friday of last week, a week ago, and he said, I have 2 tickets for you for the...
Oh, I didn't get the text like that. Come on, Andy.
Well, I got yours, and I said, Mike doesn't want to go. He thinks you're stupid. No, I don't know.
I would never say that.
But so it was very kind of him to do that. And then, and I went with Sharon, with Radio Lady. She did not drive me. I drove her there.
She's in town.
She's in town. Yeah, it's fantastic. We've had a great visit so far, and she's leaving tomorrow, unfortunately. But
she could have come to TMLX 21 at Palmas Kingston.
She certainly could have. She didn't, but she could have. So she and I went to the Andy Kim Christmas show, sitting beside Denise Donlin and Murray McLaughlin.
Wow!
And all
of your FOTMs.
Yeah, all the guests were in the. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're in the row with us, and I had a great chat with Denise. But Sharon and I had somewhere to go after, so we had to leave at the intermission because we couldn't get up during the show. We're deep in this row, in the middle of this row.
Right.
And then Andy texted me today saying, "Did you not get your tickets?" And I texted back, "Yes, it was a great show." And he said, "I shouted you out from the stage, thanking you for taking me on the songwriting tour," which is how we got to know each other, which is what led to me producing the first Andy Kim Christmas show.
You produced the first Andy Kim. Where was it located?
It was at the Mod Club.
Right.
And it was 21 years ago.
Wow.
And
was Kim Clark Champness involved?
Not with that. No.
Okay, because he talks about it being his idea. Like
it may have been his idea.
So
I don't know.
It's funny how it all connects. But Kim Clark Champness talks about having this idea for this Andy Kim Christmas, and it sounds like you are the producer, and it happened at the Mod Club.
I couldn't claim that it was my idea.
Right.
I as far as I knew, maybe it was Andy's idea. Yeah, someone said we want to do a show, and I'm like, I can help you with that.
Right.
So I got the house band together, and I the CBC recorded it for broadcast, and then I spent months mixing it because it was a long show. It was like 90 minutes, and I had to mix each song individually, and nothing ever happened with the recording, unfortunately, but now it would be a great artifact.
Yeah, I'll throw it in for Christmas. I'll throw it in the Toronto Mike podcast feed. Let's dig that up here. Can you name? I know you were only there for half of it, I guess, but can you name check some artists that you saw performing at the Andy Kim Christmas show?
There were 2 young women who I wasn't familiar with, and that's probably my age, probably a generational thing. Maybe they're famous. I don't know. Rev was one. I think it's spelled Reve. And the other woman, I don't remember her name, but Andy Stachansky performed.
Who I've been trying to book since I met him in your kitchen.
Yeah, Andy's a lovely, lovely guy, and he did my favorite song. That it's funny, my Berlin friend, and I've only had one fight, and it was about Andy's song. She didn't like it, and it's like one of my favorite songs ever. So I took it personally, which I shouldn't have, because I had nothing to do with writing it. But I was like, how can you not like this song? It's so inspirational. He did the song "Shine," which is so great, so he was great. Tom Wilson performed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Andy Kim, of course, himself performed. This is just the first half.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm sure Sloan is there, right?
Sloan was there. I saw Chris Murphy out on the stage getting ready, getting his stuff ready in the break as I was leaving. And I didn't wave to him because I was really self-conscious about leaving because we were clearly the only people who were leaving. Everyone else, it was stuffed, and everyone else was staying. And I felt bad. I wish we didn't have another plan.
Well, Andy Kim's Christmas show, another huge success. I'm sure there were members of Bare Naked Ladies there as well, typically.
Probably. Maybe. I didn't actually see any. But
well, yes. I saw Andy Kim recently at the premiere, the Ontario premiere of Biff Naked's documentary.
Oh, Biff Naked was one of the performers. I didn't see her, but yes.
Yeah, Biff and the tie that binds is Andy Kim is connected to Biff Naked because they both work very closely with Eric Alper.
Yes.
So there's your connection there. Okay, so it all comes together. Yeah. But I want to just let the listenership know that this episode of Rewinder, which will actually begin now, is proudly brought to you by retrofestive.ca. And if you go to retrofestive.ca right now and you use the promo code FOTM, you will save 10%. And this is just a great website to peruse with all the Christmas stuff and the pop culture stuff. And I'm just going to randomly read a Google review. I wrote a bunch down. Here's one. My brain wanted to explode when I walked into this place. So much to see. Fun experience brought back old memories. So that's a Google review. And of course, the store is in Oakville. But you can go to retrofestive.ca right now. So Blair, I have, as you know, I organize this quarterly episode. And this is our third one. So I feel like your third one, you figured out the beats here.
I finally figured it out.
Well, you have the easiest job because you just show up and be Blair.
I just react.
I have to actually.
Whereas you have to act because you have to put on a veneer of sophistication.
Google. I'm not talking to you. Did I say the G word? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, did I? Oh,
but yeah, so you.
Oh yeah,
can't,
I said reviews. Right.
You can't just act like yourself. You have to put on that fake personality that everyone
Well, I'll be doing
loves.
that tomorrow morning because I am the Grand Marshal for the Etobicoke Santa Claus Parade.
You are. That's amazing.
I think it's. I'm still kind of processing it all. It just seems like it must be a mistake. But they asked for my Toronto Mike logo and everything for this banner, like it's happening, and it's tomorrow morning. And they've told me where to be at a certain time and where the route goes. And I guess I lead and then Santa closes. Is how this thing works. So there you go. But
what time?
The parade starts at 10 a.m. at like 1st Street in Lakeshore.
Okay.
And then it works its way west to 35th Street.
Okay. You never know. Owen and I have to go to IKEA.
Okay. So let me say this.
Yeah.
I have been promised Ridley Funeral Home will have a hot chocolate ready for me when I get to 14th in Lakeshore. And I could just say, hey, we're going to need a hot chocolate for Owen and Blair Packham.
Okay. All right. So, but what time do you said it starts at 10?
It starts at 10.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, 10 a.m. And I think don't think it's very long, right? You're only going the 35 blocks. Right. I bet you this thing ends around 11:15 or something like that.
Right.
So
Okay. All
I don't
right.
think it's very long.
We have to go to IKEA, and so we'll either go there first.
You'll be close.
Yeah, exactly.
You will be close.
That's
okay.
our favorite IKEA.
We're gonna begin. Well, that's the only IKEA for me here in South Etobicoke.
Yeah.
I don't get up to Leslie.
It's almost equidistant to go to Leslie for us.
Right. Yeah. All right. We're going to start with radio. And this segment is brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Great Lakes gave us all some fresh craft beer at TMLX 21 last weekend, and they have sent over some fresh craft beer for you, Blair Packham.
Oh, that's amazing.
Shout out to GLB. This one, this is, so it's a light lager. They call it the super light, but it's a nice lager because you can take down a few of those and you won't be slurring your speech. It's a lower alcohol. Yeah,
wow.
finally.
Yeah,
so,
finally. I won't be.
I've been enjoying that one.
Yeah, that's super light. It's
super light.
I love the graphics on it.
It's
actually.
like retro styles.
Yeah, it's
they do
like 1950s car or something like that. When the good old days when you could drink and drive. Morgan Davis, that great. Do you know Morgan Davis?
No.
Oh, fantastic blues performer. Used to be in a band with David Wilcox back when David Wilcox wasn't doing what you just did.
That's all I know from David Wilcox.
Yeah,
I know a couple.
They had a couple of. He had the David Wilcox band, but he also had the Knights of the Mystic Sea.
Woo!
And Morgan Davis was in that band, and he's a funny guy. But he used to say from the stage, "Remember, folks, just when he's wrapping up, don't drink and drive. 'Cause if you do, you might hit a bump and spill your drink."
Oh, we've come a long way,
Those
baby.
were the good old days.
Okay. So this and some of these you'll react to because you'll have a connection to the name or you'll have the question or whatever. But I think one thing I learned about a quarter is it's 3 months. So some of this stuff is a bit dusty. So I take notes throughout the 3 months and then we do it here.
Okay.
They were looking for a new music director at Boom 97.3 because veteran Wayne Webster retired. He's also an FOTM. Do you know Wayne Webster?
Oh, yes. Wayne and I go way back. I was just signing into Live Toronto,
okay.
Mike, by the way.
Sure.
I just want to be able to
keep
see
your eye on there in case there's some
see.
radio lady questions coming in.
Exactly.
Here.
I want to see
Can't
the
just
comments.
be Carlos Delgado.
I know. I see Carlos's comment there. That's great. Thank you. Yes. Sorry. Yes, I know Wayne Webster. Yes. Wayne and I go way back. He's just a lovely guy. I think I might have met him around, definitely in the 90s. And he was always very soft spoken.
Yeah, he's very soft spoken.
Yeah, and he speaks deliberately.
Right.
And but when I would have a release and I would want to see if I can get some feature play on Mix 99 at the time or whatever, I would visit him and he would listen to the music with seriousness and he would say, I think we could probably add this track to feature play. He said, we're not going to add it to regular rotation because that's the reality when you have an independent, like if the station isn't geared to, like Indie 88 is a little more geared towards actual independent music, but most stations aren't.
Although less so now than
less so now. Agreed.
It's
but
changed quite a bit. Actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a misnomer that the name. But anyway, Wayne was always generous, and he would do what he said. He would say, he'd do what he says and says what he would do, and a very nice, kind guy. And he appeared at my songwriting workshop at least a couple of times, talking about what would be necessary for people. In terms of songwriters, like they're thinking, well, radio, what do I need to do in terms of, because it's anyway. He would give the insider's scoop on that, and he was very generous with his time. So I salute Wayne. He's a lovely fellow.
Yeah, he had a big retirement party. I know Bob Willett was there.
Yep.
Big go Bob. Now the replacement has been named. The new music director at Stingray's Boom 97.3 is a chap named Alex Hindmarsh, but it could also be Hindmarsh. But I think it might be Hindmarsh.
I think it's Hindmarsh, and I think I know Alex. I can't remember under what circumstance, but he will not fill Wayne's shoes. I'm lying. I have no idea.
They're big shoes. But,
I'm
but I'm
totally
wondering,
joking.
so this station plays like 70s, 80s, 90s stuff, right? Hit stuff.
Oh, boy.
So do they play, and which do they play the two big Jitter songs?
Well, they won't now that I made that joke about him. It was just a joke, Alex. I'm just kidding. No, and Alex and I know each other. I'm trying to think of how.
Okay.
Well, maybe we're Facebook friends.
Okay.
But,
well, he's got the big shoes to fill. But I think
he does, but
Last of the Red Hot Fools and Closer Every Day would be appropriate for Boom 97.3.
I think so too. Yes, I've had great chats with May Potts on the air, and they have played those songs while I've been there.
FOTM May Potts. Okay, now here's big news from CBC Radio 1. Do you ever listen to CBC Radio 1?
I do, yeah, in the car usually.
Yeah, me too. So we have a new host of Here and Now.
Oh, boy.
Because there was a chap there named Ramraj, who I thought was the new host.
Yeah, me too.
But I was wrong. He was interim host, and I think he's hosting Ontario Mornings now or something like that. But the new host of Here and Now is a young woman named Farah Morali.
Okay.
So
I don't know her.
Yeah, she's. I've actually invited her on Toronto Mic'd so we could get to know her better, and we will try to make that happen for sure. So speaking of CBC Radio 1, I have more news from CBC Radio 1. Mm-hmm. This is big news regarding the very popular Metro Morning.
Yes.
The host, who is also on FOTM, I need to shout that out, David Common. So David Common was the host there for quite a while now. He's leaving Metro Morning, and he's going to take over for future FOTM Heather Hiscox, who was on CBC News Network, and David Common is going to host CBC Morning Live because Heather Hiscox has announced her retirement. So she's already aired her last broadcast, but I think she's with the mothership until the end of 2025. But Heather Hiscox, congratulations on your retirement. She says she'll come over, and that'll be cool. David Common is going to move to that spot, which means there is now, as we speak, an opening to host Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1.
Finally, my dream.
I was going to ask, any interest in this?
Oh, yeah. I would love to do that, but I don't think I'm the right fit.
Well, you got to apply. That's how the CBC works.
There is that, but I also think, for a variety of reasons. I mean, I think I'm an old white guy. And
David Common's a white guy.
Yeah, but he's moving on.
That's true.
And I feel like CBC would be in the public broadcaster's best interest to seek someone who isn't that. And I think and by the way, I fully endorse that plan. I think it's the right thing to do. And so no, I won't be applying for that. But honestly, I'd love to do a gig like that. I really would.
But that's an interesting point. So forever it was a straight white guy named Andy Barry. He was there a long time.
Yep.
And then it was Matt Galloway, who was a person of color and an FOTM.
And just an unbelievably great broadcaster. Like, what a journalist. I'm a huge fan. And I wasn't a fan when he was writing for, was it Now Magazine?
Yep.
I feel like he reviewed the Jitters badly. Don't know if he did.
How dare he?
But for some reason, I had something against him. And so when he appeared on CBC Radio, I was like, this guy.
Right.
And
he was host of Here and Now before he got the Metro Morning gig.
That's right. And I just think he's great. Yeah, I really do.
I agree.
I mean, I think he goes in depth. I think
he hosts The Current now.
Yes, and he's warm and engaging and funny, and obviously has a great depth of knowledge.
No argument here. So the replacement for Matt when he moved to The Current was Ismaili Alpha.
Yes, who I also thought was great.
Well, I think his struggle, and again, is the hard news stuff.
Yes, that's what I felt. Like, I thought he was great as a warm, engaging host.
Right.
But yes, I agree.
What they did is they moved him to, I think, Fresh Air or something. He does a weekend morning show. He came from Winnipeg, by the way, for that gig. And, of course, was replaced by David Common, who is now moving on. And it is interesting. Typically, they do fill these spots from, like, within the CBC.
Yes.
It's tough for an outsider, but you never know. But I was thinking, this is me, pure speculation on Rewinder here, but if a guy like John Moore who is currently the morning show host on 1010. Like if he had, I feel like he could move to the public broadcaster just like Andy Barry did.
Like Andy Barry.
And he could be there for another decade.
Yeah, I agree. And meanwhile, things are shrinking so much at News Talk 1010.
Right.
I haven't been in the building now since 2019, but I understand it's a ghost town.
Well, later in the mailbag, there's a question about it from you.
Okay.
It's all going to tie together here.
Okay.
So there is an opening. When I think about people I know who would be good fits there, one person I think, Kelly Couture would be great there. There's other people I know who'd be great there. But Garvia Bailey, if she wanted the gig, and I have no idea, would be great in that role.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What a great broadcaster.
Great broadcaster. Okay. Yeah. Look, here we are fixing all these problems for CBC here. Okay. Right. Meanwhile, this picks up again in February, but since we last talked, the Jennifer Valentine Human Rights Tribunal.
Right. Yes.
You ever met Jennifer Valentine?
I have a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Boy, your voice is sounding good. You sound like Don McLean there. You did.
I'm going to do the full version, so give us a couple of hours here.
I would be the gravelly version of Don McLean, but you have nice clarity to your voice.
Well, I had a little coffee in me there. It smoothed it out a bit. But Jennifer, so there's some of this was covered by the CBC, so you can kind of catch up on it. But it is very interesting to follow this. I find it fascinating, and it picks up again in February.
Yeah, I'm Derringer. I don't know. Whenever I was on the Rock Report, he would make fun of me.
Oh, you mentioned he would use a homophobic joke regarding your last
every
name,
time.
Packham.
Yeah, every time he would say, "And nice to see you again, Fudge." And at first I was like, "What?"
Right.
And then he said, "Fudge Packham," and I was like,
"But he did that off the air, right?"
No.
Oh, he did it on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Times were so different. Like, I mean, I used to listen to Howard Stern, and he would do similar type things. But it's amazing how times have changed.
I feel that Howard Stern was, first of all, has evolved incredibly, but also he was grossly misunderstood by crass people who thought that all I have to do is say something outrageous or something rude to somebody, and I can be like Howard Stern.
Right.
Meanwhile, Howard Stern would say something outrageous and would say rude things, but he was also thoughtful.
Yeah.
And he would also go deep and so forth. I dated someone for a few years, actually, who I think the fact that I enjoyed Howard Stern worked well against me in our relationship. I think it was one of the reasons she broke up with me. So it's
interesting because earlier you mentioned one of the only fight you had with this lady friend of yours who went to Berlin.
Yes.
Tanya.
Yes.
The Be Good Tanya. The only fight was about
just to be clear.
Right. Was that song that she didn't dig that you loved?
Yeah, an Andy Sachansky song, and
right.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, and then of course you like this Howard Stern. But I was just thinking of my relationship with Monica. Mm-hmm. We've been married 12 years now. But man, in the Venn diagram of songs I love and songs she loved, like they're almost two circles side by side. Like,
right.
Like if it's like no, like I like my things and she does it. She like what's going on, and she likes her things, and I'm like, that's like awful. Like it's just terrible. She loves Christmas music, for example, and I think I like about 5 Christmas songs or whatever.
Right. I'm not a Christmas music person as well. It's important to me that the person I'm hanging out with that we have some overlap for sure.
Oh, but we have overlap in other areas.
Yes, and certainly Tanya and I, as my dear friend, she and I have lots of overlap in lots of areas, and in fact in music as well. She's not very knowledgeable about music, and I think she wouldn't take that as an insult. But she's very enthusiastic about discovering new music, and she actually follows various Instagrams and so forth. Trackstar, for instance, I don't know if you know that one. It's great, and learns about stuff and remembers it. And is like, oh yeah, this guy, I remember he did such and such, and she'll tell me an anecdote about somebody who, maybe passed on or whatever, and I'll say, that's right, how did you know that? And she'll say, Trackstar.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, we had this argument about Andy Sachansky's song, and I still don't get it. And I think she wouldn't, it's not like she's planting her flag on that.
Oh, so we had we do Toast every month, okay?
Yes.
So it's Bob and I and Rob Pruce.
Yes, who I saw in New York. We had dinner together.
We're burying the lead here. We got some more radio to get to, but we got to take a little tangent here. Tangential mic. Who called it that? Supriya, maybe. So we'll get to her in a minute.
Okay.
But Crap. What was I going to say about Rob Bruce?
Oh, sorry. You did an episode of Toast, and
yes,
and,
I just remembered. So we had on Fred Mullen was our special guest.
Love Fred. Fred made me breakfast last time I was in Nashville.
Oh my God. See how this world works.
But then he wanted to usher me out. Like it was like breakfast, but not too long.
Okay, well, he's a busy man.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
a busy man. But the subject matter that came up was Walking in Memphis.
Oh yeah,
by Mark
great song.
Cohn.
Sure, great song.
Who is a friend of Fred Mullen.
Oh, of course he is. Yeah, Fred would know him, of course.
Yeah. And we were basically talking about that song quite a bit. And Bob and I, even though it's not a genre we ever were exposed to, but we both love that song. Like, what are your thoughts on that song? Because where I'm going with this with Rob is Rob likes everything. He's a liker.
Yeah.
He likes everything. And for some reason, he didn't like that song. And then I can tell the listenership afterwards, we were going to have us three interview Mark Cohn, arranged by Fred Mullen. And Rob Bruce tapped out, like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, this is the most gung-ho liker. He likes everything. And suddenly there's an artist/song he doesn't like, and it's Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohn?
I'm baffled by that because, as much as like, first of all, everybody loes that song.
It's so likable.
If you've heard it, you like it.
Or at least you like the Cher version. Right?
Yeah, that's right. But it's great, and I see nothing objectionable about Mark Cohn himself.
Is it Cohn or Cone?
I believe it's Conn.
I think it's
Cohn.
Isn't that Cone?
Cone, you're right.
Thank you.
Okay,
I don't know.
All right,
Mike,
know? You're right.
How do I know?
You like to hear that. You're right. So, yeah, no, I don't. I have nothing objectionable about the artist, nothing objectionable about the song. Not only nothing objectionable, which sounds like weak praise.
Right.
It's like as a story, it's a great story. It's goes from A to B to C.
Yeah.
It's really well constructed. It's moving, which is the song's job.
Right.
That's the job of a song.
But this is similar to like, your lady friend suddenly doesn't like this Andy Stochansky song, and it's sort of like all of a sudden, Bruce doesn't like it all. Like, doesn't
That's
like
weird.
Walking in Memphis.
I just find that odd. Yeah.
Okay,
so
we'll have to have a human rights tribunal about this, I think. Okay, so I'm going to tie a few radio stories together here because we're going to get to television. But
yes, I'm still laughing at my lady friend.
Girlfriend? I don't know what she is.
No, she's
lady
fine.
friend.
She's
right?
my friend.
She's a friend who's a lady.
She's a friend who happens to be a lady. That's correct. Yeah.
She's a lady.
Yes.
Whoa.
I pulled my headphones out. As soon as you went into the Tom Jones impression.
Can you hear? Or did it unplug? What's going on here? It's all good. Okay, I see. You dropped your phone.
But I was watching the live stream. So
okay, well, listen. Don't worry about the live stream. We're doing a live program here.
I called it the live scream, by the way.
Rashmi Nair, who was at TMLX 21 the other day at Palma's Kitchen, she is going to come back in 2026, early 2026. She's going to come back on Toronto Mic in this basement alongside FOTM Supriya Dwivedi. So it's going to be Supriya and Rashmi. And I think that'll be fascinating because they have similar experiences on AM talk radio in this market.
Right. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, they have similar stories. I think Supriya got it worse than Rashmi, but they both walked away because the listenership rejected them, and they're both women of color.
Yeah.
And I think talk radio, AM talk radio anyway, is no country for women of color.
I wouldn't necessarily make that blanket.
Well, I was trying to make it like the movie,
right?
No Country for Old Men.
Right, but I think you have a point. I think it's
tough.
It's
anyway.
a tough audience for sure.
Yeah.
I have to say, on Facebook, I used to get friend requests from people from the News Talk 1010 audience, and I would accept them because I thought, well, I'm doing this show and I should promote it and so forth. But then if there was any trouble to be made in any of the comments, maybe I'd post something political or somebody else would. But if there's any trouble to be had, it would be the News Talk 1010 people. And I had to end up blocking them. Like not as a group, but just one by one.
Imagine you're a morning show host, a woman of color, and imagine what you'd get from that audience.
Exactly. And I know Jim Richards gets a bunch of stuff.
Jim Richards, because he's a reasonable man who loves his Great Lakes beer.
Exactly.
So Supriya Dwivedi was over here fairly recently since your last visit with Mike Stafford.
Oh, okay.
So reuniting, that was a morning show crew at 640. So we've talked a bit about 1010, but the rivals down the dial there is AM 640.
Yeah.
And there are big changes at AM 640. And I even pulled a clip because it's going to come back to FOTM Mike Stafford. But the big change at AM 640 is John Oakley, who's been on that show since he was recruited from 1010 to replace Humble and Fred, who were leaving 640 for Mix 99.9. So this is like 2002, 2001. I think it's 2002.
When Owen was born.
So probably conceived while listening to Humble and Fred on Mojo
always.
Radio.
I mean, the amount of sex that I had listening to Humble and Fred.
Well, it's amazing he turned out so well.
It was
but
mostly Fred. It was his voice. It was, oh my God.
when he was Goohead.
Yeah. Don't say that, Mike. I might just, I'm getting aroused.
Clean that up, Blair. Clean up your mess here. Okay, so what I'm saying is John Oakley, who's been there a long time,
Yes.
had aired his last broadcast on 640 last Friday.
Right.
He's done.
Wow, that's amazing.
Did you
That's
ever meet
amazing.
John Oakley?
I don't think I ever did.
He's a mysterious guy because I'll say, so obviously I've taken a couple of runs at getting John Oakley on Toronto Mic'd, and it's just crickets. Like I don't get a note, you don't hear anything back. But then I had a live recording from the GLB Brew Pub because 640 was having a party. This is when Amanda Cupido was the program director, and everybody at the station and everybody who appeared on the station, which was a lot of global people too, like Anthony Farnell and people like that, they were all in the room, and I was recording in the corner, and one by one they'd come over. Greg Brady, Alex Pearson, Ed Keenan was there, I don't know, Kelly Catrera, some producers, some global people, lots of people.
Bunch of people I like.
But guess who somehow avoided this event? Nothing didn't come over.
There. He wasn't even there.
He was the only on-air personality who wasn't at this party.
Well, I suppose there's a couple of things. That maybe he wants to be mysterious, but also
he's private, maybe.
Yes, and when you're the top dog at a station, you can do that. You cannot show up at the station event. I certainly wasn't true when I was at News Talk 1010 because I wasn't the top dog. But John Moore might opt to not be there depending on the event.
Well, that'd be a 1010 event, yeah.
Yeah, and he'd be but I'm just saying if it was a station event, when you.
But typically, you want to show you're a team player. I feel like
yes, but I think that maybe there's egos involved. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know.
I think I get the vibe. Again, never met the man.
Yeah.
Okay. Never been in the same room as the man, as far as I know.
Right.
But I get the vibe that he is just uber private. Like, so he does his show, and he by all accounts does a great job. He was on the radio for 40 years plus, but he's currently off the radio, no longer at 640. And I actually received a clip from the show because Joe Warmington was one of his final guests. I guess this is the last week Oakley was on 640. He had Joe Warmington on. Do you know Joe Warmington?
No, never met.
So he writes for The Sun.
Yeah, no, I know who he is. Yeah.
So Joe Warmington chatted with me about Oakley, and I was quoted. This is last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, but I think it was last week. I was quoted in the Toronto Sun as like a radio expert who was pontificating on basically the legacy of John Oakley in this market. Like I was quoted as a radio expert.
Interesting, considering you haven't spoken with John Oakley,
but never met the man.
But I mean, when you think about your position in all of this, and I did wonder why you wouldn't apply for the CBC spot.
Oh my God!
But
what time do you have to wake up for that one?
Yeah, well, there's that. You could cycle down though. But when you think about your position in this world, you're one of the few people paying attention. And
True.
You're not just paying attention to the one station you listen to in the morning or whatever.
Right.
You're paying attention to the whole panoply.
Well, I'm paying attention to 640 now, and I don't know if I've heard 640 since I had a commute back in 2007, and Stafford was doing Simpsons trivia on a drive home show.
Right. But you're still paying attention to who's where and who's doing what and who's getting hired and who's getting fired and so forth, and in a way that I don't think anyone else is. There used to be, of course, media that covered broadcasting, but there isn't anymore. So you're it. So Joe Warmington needs to quote a radio expert. He's going to go to Toronto Mike. Well, I don't know about that, but he certainly did. Yeah, he did. And I think Joe. I don't know him. I don't know Joe, but it seems to me a guy who has a daily column. It's daily, isn't it?
I think it's daily, but don't quote me. I'm not a Toronto Sun expert.
Might be 3 times a week. Whatever it is, I bet he's got deadlines and he's got to fill. You need content, and he talks to Mike Boone, and he's thinking, okay, I can use this.
And he did.
Yep.
And I pulled a clip of Joe Warmington talking to John Oakley. Now, the recording is done where somebody just recorded it like from an external speaker, so it's a bit of a potato quality. But here's about a minute, because I find it interesting when they talk about Stafford on the air at 640, because you know the story, and listeners of Toronto Mike know the story of how Stafford was ousted and what's happened since then. But let's listen.
We're talking with our friend Joe Warmington, columnist with the Toronto Sun, friend of the Oakley Show. We go back a long way. And Joe, to a certain extent, you know where the bodies are buried or how they got buried. In fact, you just invoked the name of one of our erstwhile colleagues, Mike Stafford. Now, Interestingly enough, he had made a reference, I guess this was considered to be a perceived attempt at a joke, in reference to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who's going to join us shortly at the bottom of the hour. But you know what? Mike had said this in an eternal meeting. It was a screen grab that was taken by the program director of all people, and he fed it to the media. I mean, this is what we went through in kind of that George Floyd panic area and cancel culture. The people were being torpedoed. I mean, I certainly felt the indignity of it as well. I guess got by relatively unscathed. Mike had to walk the plank. I mean, did you have any of that going on at the Sun?
I don't know about at the Sun, but I certainly covered a lot of it. I mean, Don Cherry comes to mind. I don't think I did enough to help Mike, and I feel bad about it. But you can only take on so many battles like this. There's, we're fighting for people all the time.
Well, there's a taste of John Oakley and Joe Warmington on 640 talking a little bit about the ousting of Mike Stafford. I just think it's interesting when you hear that.
Yeah, it is. Weird background noises, though.
I know. Was that in the house or in the recording?
Both of us are looking around like, what's going on?
And maybe it was on his end because the guy recorded it was just like a speaker and they were just recording it from.
I think it's on the recording.
What I did find interesting, because I went to the 640 website to find the podcast so I could get a proper audio feed of that, and they did not publish that episode as a podcast.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. So somebody said nope. And it makes it difficult to find this audio if you don't have the podcast, but somebody recorded it and got it to me. So there you go. John Oakley retires, and I put quotes on that because I get a vibe like you got a tap and said, time's up, we're not renewing your contract. Yeah. So we don't know if he'll resurface somewhere, but John Oakley, as far as we know, has retired from radio after over 4 decades.
Over 4 decades in radio. That is really unusual. When I talk about the show that I had on News Talk 1010 with Bob Reed, which was called In the Studio, I will say to people, ran 11 years, which is some kind of record in AM radio, particularly.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. I mean, it's not actually a record, but it is a long time in radio, and 40 years is unbelievable. That's great.
There you go. So if John's listening, you're invited in the basement to chat about your career. You mentioned Indy 88 earlier. Mm-hmm. Big changes there.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. There are a number of stations in the GTA owned by Local Radio Lab. This is the company, and they have many stations, and they've decided to take their indie brand and apply it to some of these other stations. For example, in Milton, there is now 101.3 Indie FM. And in Orangeville, there's now 101.5 Indie FM. And in Alliston, there's now 92.1 Indie FM. And in Bolton, there's now 102.7 Indie FM. So that's what? Now, if you count 88.1, you've got 5 indie stations in, I don't know if Alliston is GTA or whatever, but you know what I mean, in the surrounding area.
It's a conglomerate.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of indie.
Well, that's right. So we had this chat with Bob Willett, but people do sometimes think indie is the music they play, like you're playing indie music.
Yeah.
And we could talk about how that term has been bastardized. But it actually it does reference the fact that it's this outfit, which is called Local Radio Lab, is not Rogers, Chorus, or Bell.
Okay,
that's what it means. It's like we're not even Stingray. It's like no, we're like they're not a big fish. They've got a bunch of stations, but they're smaller market stations. So they're indie.
I'm not looking for a job in radio, so I don't have to worry about offending them. And I don't mean to offend them, but I would say that's a gossamer thin reason for calling your company that, because it of course people will think of it as referring to the music,
and they'll be very wrong, because the reason I played "Walking" in Memphis is because FOTM Bob Willett played that song that morning. They voice track these things, these morning shows. So Bob Willett is voice tracking the Indie FM morning show in Milton, and he's playing "Walking in Memphis" by Marcone, and that ain't indie.
No, it was never indie, ever. It was on a major label from the beginning, and nothing wrong with that. But, they're like trying to, not that the company is trying to do that, but the idea that you call something indie and that makes it more authentic and makes it more truthful is not necessarily so. It's just not true.
No. So the term indie has been bastardized.
It has been.
Joel Grossman is the name of the guy who owns Local Radio Lab, and he's got all these stations using the same kind of branding. So it almost looks like it's getting set up to be sold to one of the bigger outfits or something.
That is what happens in radio, isn't it? Yeah, Radio Lady would have some stuff to say about
Radio
that.
Lady, we need to know what's going on here.
I
I'm
know.
going to quote Joel Grossman because I have a quote from him. This came from Broadcast Dialogue, who we'll talk about in a moment. But this is what Joel says. Actually, it's not from Broadcast Dialogue. I think I pulled this from literally from the local Radio Lab press release. But it says, this rebrand has been a year in the making, and we're so excited to finally share what we've been working on behind the scenes. Bringing our stations together under the Indie FM brand lets us launch a fresh talent lineup, refreshed programming, and shared contesting across the entire network. We're really proud of where Indie FM is headed, and I'd personally like to say a big thank you to everyone who's been listening and supporting us.
Well, that's great. Good for them.
Who wrote that? ChatGPT? I don't know about that. Okay.
Hey, did I tell you about my adventure with ChatGPT?
Tell me.
I did what I used to call an ego surf. I may have
searched your
told
name.
you this. Yeah. I may have told you this because it was actually back in the summer, but I'll tell you again quickly because I've started it.
Okay. Then we'll get to TV.
I looked up I asked ChatGPT to tell me about Blair Packham, and it told me various things that were correct, a couple of things that were arguable, a couple of things that were wrong. Yeah. That I like, for instance, that I teach at U of T, and that's just confusion between the fact that I went to U of T. I have my degree from U of T, but
you were on the air of Mark Weisblock.
Yeah, but exactly. Exactly. Mark was a few years younger than me. No, he always gets irritated when I say that. So
I'm a decade younger than you.
I'm just joking, Mark. No, but it said that I was best known, my band, the Jitters, was best known for their song Call of the Wild.
Whoa, that's not true.
Well, Call of the Wild is not a song I've ever written, nor do I have any association with a song called Call of the Wild. And so I asked, tell me about the song Call of the Wild, and it told me that it was an anthemic song. I asked for a quote of the lyrics because I thought maybe I could write it. And it said it can't quote the lyrics because of copyright restrictions. However, the song is very meaningful to audiences everywhere and fans of the Jitters. And so I then said, I love the anthemic chorus. Can you tell me the lyrics? And it said, no, I can't for copyright reasons. But what is it about the chorus that you love so much? And I said, I love that it's anthemic. And then I said, I love the lyric, and I just made something up.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's no time to be mild. It's time for the call of the wild. So I typed that in, and it said, ChatGPT said, aren't those lyrics great? Audiences everywhere love those lyrics. So and it was such bullshit.
So you've obviously doing this as a test or whatever. Check out what they're saying about you. Yeah. I have no time for it. Like, I won't even... I have no time for it. The one time I was pitched something, it was not ChatGPT, it was the Google AI bot who was telling me about Mike Stafford hosting Toronto Mic'd and everything. I realized, oh, great. Like two of these things are going to be true. One is going to be misleading and the other is going to be completely made up, and you have to figure it all out from there. It's more trouble than it's worth.
I had a friend who used Google AI for to make an audio recording tell me about Blair Packham, and he sent it to me. And it's a voice that sounds similar to Jeff Woods. So an authoritative broadcast voice.
Oh, that's a sexy voice.
Yeah, and a woman who also had a good broadcast voice. The two of them having a conversation. She's like, so this guy Blair Packham, songwriter, singer, very talented guy. Can you tell me about him? Well, yeah, it's funny you should ask that, Susan. He's Blair, if you look into this guy's career, it's really kind of amazing. This thing went on for a half an hour with these people talking about me, and they're not even real people, and they sounded so real because they were going. And then, of course, there's also, like they're stumbling over some words here and there, like real humans.
Jeez.
And they didn't talk about Call of the Wild. Now that I think of it.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay. So we got that one corrected. Thank you, Robert Lawson, fact checking them, I believe. But we're moving from radio to television. And this segment, Blair, is brought to you by Palma Pasta. They hosted us on Saturday at TMLX 21. They fed everybody, and they have a lasagna here for you. Delicious Palma Pasta lasagna for you, Blair Packham.
I'm thrilled.
And I got to remind people, I had a couple of people come up and go, we do our catering with Palma Pasta. It's so it's economical and delicious. Like, it's a deadly combo if you ask me. Like, if you have a holiday party, I don't know, if you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever's going on, Palma Pasta catering. go to palmapasta.com. You can thank me later.
And the store itself, I didn't get to TMLX this year, but when I've been in the past, the store is amazing.
Yeah.
And I actually have gone back to buy Christmas gifts, like stocking stuffers of, little jars of olives.
It is
or whatever.
amazing.
It's an amazing store, and they're so friendly, and I love it.
Well, hit up Retrofesta, and on your way back east, you go to Palma's Kitchen.
Yep.
And then you can drop by Great Lakes Brewery at 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard in Etobicoke. So this is what you do.
Okay.
So we have, sadly, a firing here to lead us off. It's an FOTM. In the past quarter, Donovan Bennett was let go by Sportsnet. I had a couple of visits with Donovan Bennett, and I think we did a Zoom during the pandemic, if I remember correctly. And I believe believe it or not, I believe Donovan was my special guest with Garvia Bailey. We did a special episode titled Being Black in Toronto. And Donovan, who is a black man, and Garvia Bailey, who's a black woman.
And you.
And me, who listened. I did a lot of listening, Blair. I'm a good listener, okay?
Good.
I do not know, I don't pretend to know what it's like to be a black person in Toronto. Fair
enough.
Interested in learning. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to call this person Deep Throat. I received a message from Deep Throat, and I'm just going to read it, okay?
Okay.
We're not suggesting anything untoward here. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And then people can wonder aloud. But Deep Throat learned of Donovan Bennett's firing and sent me this. And again, my lawyer wants me to assure everybody we're not suggesting anything untoward. These are just facts that I confirmed. Okay.
And I'm not even here. If you're
Blair is like, Blair doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, no.
But what else
I haven't
is new?
heard this. I don't know what this is.
It reads, Greg Sansoni took over in January 2023. Since, this is what it reads, Eric Thomas, out. Cabby, out. Cliff Floyd, out. Anthony Stewart, out. Arash Madani, out. Donovan Bennett, out. Hannah Ryan, I always butcher his name, Singh, demoted off conference finals. So not out, but demoted off conference finals. Savannah Hamilton, out. Notice a pattern. So this note came in, and I know who it's from. I'm just not going to name the person it came from,
right.
Who has sensed, and again, I almost regret saying the first part because I'm not trying to connect it to any individual, and I'm not suggesting anything untoward at all. I want to be clear about that. But has detected a trend in people of color being let go over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I know people are going to speculate that, and I know what's being suggested there.
Yeah.
But I received this, and I thought I would read it during Rewinder because I was going to talk about Donovan Bennett anyways, who was a fine broadcaster and a very good FOTM.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the situation well enough to comment on it directly. Just to say that,
what can we say?
I think that we're in very interesting times, and it may be that suggestion is correct. It may be. I don't know.
We don't know.
But given the times we live in, where there's a backlash against DEI and political correctness, both of which I think are both, unless taken to illogical extremes, they're both logical and they're human, and those are good things. But I know I have friends who would disagree with me, and some of these friends have been given permission in general by the politics of the time to be, in my opinion, regressive. So if that's the case in this, and I have no idea, but if that's the case, that's very sad, I think.
And, you speak of this time, and I think that is a great segue for something that happened over the past quarter, which is a gentleman named Charlie Kirk was murdered. Mm-hmm. And a talk show host I quite like, and I think you're a fan as well, but Jimmy Kimmel made what I would call an innocuous comment about it, did not laugh at the death or celebrate the death in any manner at all. But his comments caused him to be suspended. And this was a big brouhaha for a while, that Jimmy Kimmel was suspended because he made comments following the murder of Charlie Kirk. But then subsequently, he was brought back, and he's currently back on the air as we speak. But all of that, as you recall, which was a fodder for talk radio, for water cooler conversations, for big topic of conversation, came and went during this past quarter.
Yeah, it was quite a time this past quarter. So yeah, all that stuff is dismaying. The fact that Jimmy Kimmel was brought back is fine by me. I did find that things were so heated in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's murder that you couldn't even say anything about it unless you were publicly mourning his death. And I mourn the death of any human, but even when Trump inevitably goes, I don't know if I'll mourn that particularly. But what I'm saying is it's always, there are always loved ones who are going to be unhappy. And Charlie Kirk was a highly influential fellow. I didn't agree with anything that he said necessarily, but if you even hinted at that on social media, you would get excoriated by people saying that you're celebrating his murder, which is not. There's a huge amount of gray area in there. You can disagree with someone's politics and still think it's a tragedy that they get murdered.
Now, I did see people celebrating his murder.
But those people are fucked.
None named Blair Packham.
No, that's not. I think that's inappropriate. That said, it's better to say nothing. And so I opted.
That's what I always preach is that if you can't say something nice about somebody when they died, like you don't have to say anything at all.
No,
you can wait.
Exactly.
At least let a little time go by.
It's taking it away from Charlie Kirk for a second. When some rock star dies. And people weigh in inevitably, because most of my friends are musicians or music fans. Right. When they weigh in, they often feel the need to say, well, I was never a fan of their music, but it's still sad that they
unnecessary
died.
detail.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I don't care that you weren't a fan. Right. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. And it's like you're planting your flag on that to prove how cool you are.
Right. No, that's exactly what it is. And it's such an unnecessary detail at that time.
I've done it. I did it years ago, and I stopped doing it because I realized that's stupid. It's not about me. Right. So I would rather not comment. Now, I don't know if this isn't the appropriate time because we're still talking about TV, but Steve Cropper died the other day.
Well, you can do that now, and then we have other deaths we can remark on. But Steve Cropper, now he, as you know, he's prolific in many ways, which you'll tell us now. Again, we're going to do a little out of order and come back to Kirk. But he also produced Dock of the Bay, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
He co-wrote it, in fact, and he wrote In the Midnight Hour. He wrote. I think he co-wrote, I think Isaac Hayes wrote Soul Man, but he played guitar on it, Steve Cropper. Steve Cropper was the house producer and songwriter for Stax Records in Memphis. So all those Stax Records, Wilson Pickett and Otis Redding, the Bar-Kays and the Booker T and the MGs, etc.
He was one of the MGs.
He was one of the MGs, and he
Green Onions.
Yeah, he was, and he co-wrote Green Onions. Yeah. So he wrote or produced or co-wrote a million sellers. Really a terrific guy. I got to play 3 gigs with him, and they were all huge experiences. And I got to, when we did Soul Man and I was one of the singers, when it came time to go, play it, Steve, it was amazing to me that there he was, Steve Cropper, and I'm saying, play it, Steve, to the guy who...
Wow, like a blues brother.
Yeah, so, and he told me a joke that I continue to tell to this day that I'm not going to tell you, only not because it's off color in any way, but it's long, and I've probably told you before because it's really long.
Well, maybe we close with it if I have the time.
I don't know, it's a long
time. But anyway, Steve
significant
Cropper, passing this week.
We had a good time. We played a show in Hawaii, and the other artist on the other artist on the bill was Alice Cooper.
Wow. And you are close with Bob Ezrin.
Well,
you were.
I was at one time, yes. And
does he still take your calls or no?
I don't know. I haven't tried to call him.
Because I want him on Toronto Mike now that he's come home.
When I see him in a public place, which is rare, but when I see him, he always goes, "Hey, Blair," and then just keeps walking.
Well, that's more than it happens. If I see him when I'm marching in the Santa Claus parade tomorrow, he won't know who the hell I am. So you see, but I think I shouted you out. He came up organically in a conversation recently, Bob Ezrin, and he's from The Wall and all this, and I'm like, and he also worked on those Jitters demos back in the day. Like, I made sure to work
That's
you
amazing.
into that convo.
He did. Did I? The great thing was Bob had a bigger vision, so he would imagine like instead of these 3-minute pop songs, he'd be like 3-minute pop song, and then what are we going to do with it, kind of thing. And so he sat down at the piano as we were demoing a song, and he said, "Okay, I'm thinking of a coda that kind of goes like this," and he starts playing blah on the piano, blang dung 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 dung, and Danny, the guitar player, goes, Danny goes, "Bob, isn't that like the coda to Layla?"
Yeah.
And Bob goes, "What?" And then he goes, we'll change it. We'll change it a little bit. We'll change a note here or there." So it never ended up surviving, but I thought it was so funny. His brain was just always going,
Yeah, that might be the most famous coda in the history of rock
Exactly.
music.
It was kind of like, Bob, come on. You must know that's Layla.
Shout out to Martin Scorsese. Okay.
That's right.
So back to television for a moment here. And a fact that I shared at the time, but I think is interesting, is that this tells you where I'm at. I learned the name Charlie Kirk when I heard he was killed. Or at least when he was shot. I don't know if they announced his death right away. But I did not know the name Charlie Kirk.
I did. I follow this stuff, and it causes my stomach to roil and so forth, and I shouldn't. But I was fully aware of who Charlie Kirk was. I know who the other right-wing commenters are.
See, I don't watch, even though I'm a correspondent on CNN, I don't actually watch any like CNN or Fox News or anything.
I don't either. I don't watch either of those, but I do listen to what's called MS Now, MSNBC.
Okay.
Although with some reservation because of how they've handled themselves in the wake of Trump's election. Anyway, but so I was aware of who he was, and I found his views very disagreeable. For me, very disagreeable. And I found his method, people have said he's just trying to get a dialogue going. It's like, with college students who are ill-prepared to debate the topics that he throws at them and then interrupts them and talks over them. Now, if I had typed that on my Facebook, 2 months ago, I would lose a whole lot of friends and I'd be excoriated in public and so forth. But it's still true. And if you quote Charlie Kirk's words back to those people, they say he never said that, but he did. And there's video of him. And then they say it's AI, which it's not. And he'd been saying stuff like that, offensive stuff for years. So, I was aware of who he was, and I wasn't a fan. What I'm intrigued by, though, is the way his widow has handled his passing. Really maximizing its potential for an audience and for donations and fundraising for political candidates and so forth. And I'm thinking, well, I guess that's in line. That fits the brand. Maybe she's mourning in private. I don't know.
Well, I'm on Reddit. Okay, this is my source, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And hugging JD Vance in the way that I hug you.
No, I would say more sexually, much to my disappointment.
Yeah, like the way I hug you.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, you don't hug me sexually. I've been waiting for it. It's the hair that I really like. The fact that your hair is so headphone independent. Like, there's your hair, and you take those phones off, and it'll pop back up, and my hair will just sit flat. It'll be apparent to everyone that I've been wearing headphones or a toque or something.
Carla Collins was at TMLX 21.
Yes, I heard that.
She made a comment about how we had the best hair in showbiz, she said, because she's got a lot of crazy hair going on.
Yeah, she's got big hair for sure. Yeah,
she's got big hair. Yeah. All right. Do you know the name Travis Danraj?
No, I don't.
So he's been everywhere, man. But his most recent stop was CBC, and he had a show on CBC, but he left under some strange circumstances, and then he launched a podcast in which he played in the first episode anyway, like audio he recorded secretly of like HR meetings he had with CBC and stuff like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I just took a note here to say that like since we last recorded, Travis Danraj, who I've invited on Toronto Mike, he's yet to take me up on the invitation, but he's rattling cages at the CBC, that is for sure, but he's no longer with CBC, and that happened since I think he was carrying, or maybe Carmen Wong, who is a co-host of his, was carrying a bat, and I saw the photo with a baseball bat, and then I remember FOTM Brad Bradford, who was at TMLX 21.
Yep,
he was in the sun holding a bat. And I then had Alan Zweig hold a bat for his photo by Toronto Tree. So, and you could hold a bat today. I'm just saying we could do another bat photo
That's
here.
hilarious.
But,
well, that's hilarious given the Brad Bradford Alan Zweig almost showdown last year.
yeah, and they were on the mic together at the same time, and they both made a comment, I'm getting too predictable, because of course I put Brad Bradford and Alan Zweig on the mic at the same time at
Of
TMY
course you
21.
did. Yeah, that's great.
I got to mix it up a bit here.
I wish I had seen that. But
well, I recorded it. I can show you the video.
I'm sure it wasn't as eventful.
No,
although
because
it's,
Alan took a high road on that one.
Yeah,
you know,
he's definitely he's a gentleman. There's no question.
Well, he says he was an asshole, and now he's less of an asshole, I think.
Well, I wonder. I mean, I wouldn't have characterized him as an asshole, but I would say Alan could be difficult and curmudgeonly at times, sometimes contrarian and argumentative. But, that's probably because he's, first of all, I love Alan Zweig and I've known him for 100 years. So I feel
and
like
you played with his brother just.
Yeah, and I love his brother as well. But I do believe that Alan has mellowed, no question. Every time I've seen him, every time we've gotten together for coffee, it always strikes me like, oh, right, this is the new Alan Zweig. Not that he was so terrible before. I loved him, but
and we like him that way.
Yeah.
So
That's
don't get too soft.
No, exactly. It's part of what makes him who he is.
Don Cherry. There's a name you know, and not the musician.
I'm not friends with Don Cherry. Yeah.
We speculated this, I think, in a previous Rewinder. We played the clip of his finale, Toodaloo, where it was suggested that was the finale of his podcast. And then he went on Joe Warmington. Speaking of Joe Warmington, he's all over this episode, but he and Joe Warmington talked, and Joe Warmington wrote that Don said, no, it's just over for the season. He'll be back when the hockey returns in the fall of 2025. Well, I can now definitively state everyone knew this except Joe. Don Cherry's podcast is over, so the broadcasting life of Don Cherry has come to an end, and he can just enjoy his remaining years offline.
How old is Don Cherry?
90-something.
Oh, my goodness. I actually put him in his 80s. So good for him. And yes, I think, unless it's the kind of thing that drives him,
Well, he's done. I think maybe his son made the decision for him.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, then good for him. And I hope he enjoys his remaining years.
So there you go. Yeah. Melanie Ng, kind of known to anyone who would know her possibly from City News, and she was on Breakfast Television, and then she left Breakfast Television, but she was recently on City News. Well, she has left the city. Okay, I was going to say Elvis has left the building. So Melanie Ng departs City News and the city of Toronto. She and her family have up and moved to Calgary, Alberta.
That's really funny. I actually, just before you said Calgary, I thought to Calgary.
Okay, you should have said it out loud. You could have
won the prize.
Could have won. And then
I could have won this.
You would have been wrong. I know Vancouver, but no, Calgary. Yeah, so right. There you go, Melanie Ng. If you don't see her on TV, she up and left the city with her family. Okay, let's talk some music. You know your music. This segment of Rewinder is brought to you by RecycleMyElectronics.ca, because Blair, if you have old cables, old devices, old electronics, you don't throw that in the garbage. Those chemicals end up in our landfill. You go to RecycleMyElectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop that off.
That's great. And yes, and not only is it better for landfills to not put that stuff in there, but that stuff actually can be. There are valuable components to your electronics that can be recycled in a very positive way.
So speaking of your postal code, tomorrow night I will be not performing, but I will be at the Danforth Music Hall tomorrow night. So I'll be in your hood, sort of.
And you'll be there to see
the Trews.
Oh, of course. Say hi to the Trews if you end up talking to them.
Well, they were in this basement recently, the brothers anyways.
Nice.
From
they're lovely guys.
Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
They taught at our songwriting workshop.
Lovely people.
They were mentors. Yeah, they really are lovely
McDonald
people.
Boys.
And we did a few shows together, songwriter shows, a couple. So yeah, they're lovely guys.
They were lovely. I did really one after another. I did the Trews, the main singer and the main guitarist. And I also did the same kind of combo for Finger 11, like back to back. Oh. And it was interesting to compare and contrast. Like Finger 11 was ahead of the Trews by about a decade or whatever. Yep. But they both break at 97.7 Hits FM in St. Catharines.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's a great station.
Yeah.
The
White House of Rock, and shout out to Polly Morris, whose daughter is currently covering provincial politics for CTV.
Oh, wow.
Siobhan Morris.
Oh, of course.
FOTM,
who I knew very vaguely from Newstalk 1010.
She got out of the news department before the news department got out of there.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know
you
all
didn't
those
connect
connections.
Those dots.
No.
Well, listen, that's what you come here for.
Did you know Christy Knight?
I know of her, of course. I never met her. I did it. We almost had her on Toronto Mike, but yeah.
She was my mentor at Q107.
Okay.
And did the...
She was at Hits for a long time.
Yeah, she went to Hits from there, and then she and I co-hosted her show a couple of times, where she had me as a guest co-host. It was for, I believe it was called The Rock Report, and I was there with her. It was great.
All right, let's talk a little music of what happens in the past quarter. Toronto's Velvet Underground announces its closure.
Yeah. Another venue bites the dust, and that's a drag. Now, I never played there. No, I did a songwriting thing there once. Yeah. So, but that's the only time. So I wasn't really familiar with it that much, but it's a shame when a venue goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you if you ever played Velvet Underground here, but it's gone. Yeah. And I know you're good friends with Rick Emmett.
Yes.
And you guys even have worked together.
Yeah, I engineered his audio book for his last book, 10 Telecaster Tales, and then I recorded the audio. I engineered. I didn't produce. I engineered the recording of his that album, 10 Telecaster Tales.
Well, there's been I'm actually personally confused by the whole announcement, but it sounds like Rick Emmett and Triumph they're going to do some kind of multimedia tribute act. Do you have any insight at all? Do you know anything of what I'm talking about?
This is entirely news to me. I haven't talked to Rick in a little while.
Okay.
So I should give him a call on my way home. I'm going to call and find out.
Call Rick and find out exactly what's going on, because it's a bit convoluted, but it seems to include people who aren't in Triumph, but maybe had moments in Triumph. And I'm not sure. Is it going to be the OG band, the trio? Are they going to be like holograms, or will they come in and do guest appearances?
Yeah.
But something's going on with the brand Triumph, and it's some kind of a multimedia tribute act thing, and we need to find out what's going on for the next episode of Rewinder.
I can
take a note.
I'm going to make a note.
Find out from Rick Emmett, FOTM Rick Emmett, who you drove to Christie Pitts one day.
Yes.
To be honored by Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. I'm playing Nelly Furtado. Have you ever met Nelly Furtado?
No.
You're missing out.
I love this song.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's so... I mean, I know it's old at this point, but it still sounds really hip to me. And her vocal, her performance is so great. And what a chorus. Yeah. Man, this song is like hookarama.
Do you think Rob Bruce would like this song?
Yes. Well, no, actually, now that he's confounded us by not liking Walking in Memphis.
Right.
I had a great dinner with Rob in New York.
Anything you can share, because you guys are both mean a great deal to me.
Oh, well, he's just a mensch. He's a lovely guy, and he met us in between shows. It was on the weekend, and he had a matinee and then an evening show for Mamma Mia. And so he met us for dinner at his favorite Vietnamese pho place.
Was his wife there, or no? He just came.
No, it was Rob and I, Tanya, and then we met with my good friend Jesse Larner, who used to live in Toronto, and his wife Constance. Jesse is an author who has written this. I mean, among other things, he's a writer. He wrote this great book about about Mount Rushmore. And about the...
Putting Trump on there?
No, this is an older book. But about the racism behind it. And it's quite a story. Quite a story. So anyway, it was great to see Jesse. I used to know him. He worked with Matt Greenberg in a restaurant when the Jitters were first formed. And so Jesse's like part of my history. And when I go to New York, if I get a chance, I see him.
Okay, but you had a great time with FOTM Rob Bruce.
Yeah, and I think Rob enjoyed.
My ears were burning. Did I come up at all? Like, hey,
we talked all about you.
We played together at TMLX at Great Lakes Brewery.
Here's a funny thing, Rob. When I was introducing Rob to Jesse, I said, and Rob apparently played on our album, and I've forgotten. And Rob laughed and said, "Yes, I played on your hit." And I was like, "Really?" Like I couldn't.
Yeah, that's
it
wild.
Was embarrassing.
That is
I
wild.
know, because I remember so much. And yet I remember Rob playing on the record. I just don't remember it being
I had
that
the guys
song.
from Honeymoon Suite here, and they didn't remember Rob being in the band.
That's amazing.
Like, I think Rob is so nice.
Yeah.
So unlike me or you or Zweig, who have a bit of sandpaper and get memorable because you're not perfect, Rob is so nice. I think he can be forgotten at times because he doesn't do outrageous things.
Right, maybe, yeah. And
he doesn't say rude things or punch anybody. He's just a sweetheart.
Not like me,
Well, you've thrown a few haymakers in your time.
Right. But that's because you won't sexy hug me.
Do you know why I played Nelly Furtado?
No, I was thinking that has nothing to do with Rob Bruce.
Nelly Furtado has announced her retirement from live performing.
Wow. Well, I you know what? I think I have mixed feelings about it because although I've never seen Nelly perform, so it's not like I'm an avid fan thinking, no, don't do it. But I am thinking I applaud people who are able to make transitions in life and who are able to make a decision rather than just letting things atrophy. And so I think good for her. I'm in the process
But isn't she my age? Maybe she's younger than me, actually.
She's younger than you, I think, yeah. But she's youthful. And but I'm in the middle of making transitions myself that have required making decisions, and it's challenging because but as you get older, life changes. Life's all about change. I've been telling my students that, and they're 20 years old, so they don't believe it because things seem the same to them more or less. But it's all about change, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't.
The only constant is change.
Yes.
Write that down. Use it in your class.
Yes, and death and taxes, but.
I know people who have avoided one of those things.
Death. Yeah.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
All I was suggesting to them though was that they have to be adaptable and they have to and it's when we resist change that often problems start. So it's not like you have to go around.
You can't fight it.
Yeah, well, it's you can only fight it so much. I also opined that the reason people hang on to tradition is because they're trying to stop time in some way. So, my family always vacations at Disneyland or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but then somebody dies or somebody gets sick and can't go or things change. They're going to change no matter how much you try and hang on to a tradition. Now, I'm not saying don't, because traditions give us comfort for sure. I'm just saying be aware.
Speaking of death.
Yes, speaking of death.
We're going to
Blair
cover
Packham's
just
here.
a few,
Let's speak of
what
death.
I call, these are not going to be the biggest deaths, but these are the kind of deaths where maybe Rewinder is the only program that's going to actually reference these deaths, possibly. We already talked about Steve Cropper, who is being remembered far and wide because of his role in popular music, rock and roll. We mentioned Otis Redding, Stax. Who's the professor at York University who is the Stax expert? He showed up in the Stax documentary.
Rob Bowman.
Yeah. He's returning to Toronto, Mike, early in 2026. He's got a new book out about, I think it's about Muscle Shoals, I think.
Shoals, yeah.
Yeah, not Shores. Shoals. Yeah. But anyway, he's fantastic. He'll be back here soon. I just want to shout that out in passing.
He's so great. He's done such great work over the years, over decades.
I saw him at the Gary Top book release in the Red Room of 888 Young.
I really wanted to go to that, and I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah,
me too.
I know Rob Proust was there,
and Dave Steinberg.
The mods, of course.
And Gary Top was instrumental, no pun intended, in the mods' career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was honored. That was the greatest achievement. That was my greatest achievement until tomorrow when I'm the Grand Marshal of the Santa Claus Parade, because I was the moderator of the panel at that event. So
I understand you did a great job.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I had never done that before. But these significant deaths we're going to discuss are brought to you by Ridley Funeral Home. They'll have great hot chocolate at the Etobicoke Santa Claus Parade tomorrow, and they have sent over a measuring tape for you, Blair Packham. How many of those measuring tapes you got now?
Enough to start a store.
Blair's Measuring Tape Emporium opening soon in East York. Okay, so
I'm nothing if not ambitious.
Love Ridley Funeral Home because it's family run, so it's independent. Yep. It's not a conglomerate. They can say they're indie.
Yes. Indie Ridley.
They're indie. GLB is indie. Palma Pasta is indie. See how this works here. And also they only sell Canadian caskets, which I think is rad, and good people there. And Brad Jones has a great podcast called Life's Undertaking. So one name I wanted to ask you about, unless you had something you were going to say there.
Not about Ridley Funeral Home, although I support their indiness and the work they do. But Rick Emmett replied to my text.
Okay, what did he say?
He said all will be revealed over the next few
weeks. Okay, so maybe that's why it's confusing, because it sounds like they've announced something's happening and they've dropped hints, but they haven't spelled it out yet. So next Rewinder will give the deets. What's going on with Rick Emmett and Triumph here. Okay. Are you familiar with the broadcaster known as Beverly Thompson. Does that name ring a bell?
It does
to
ring
you?
a bell, but I don't. Yeah. If
I showed you a picture,
unfamiliar.
So if I showed you a picture,
Okay.
Beverly Thompson,
Okay.
she was on the air here. I'm just calling her up. Sadly, she has passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
In September 14th, 2025. She was best known probably from, she was on Canada AM co-hosting with Seamus O'Regan.
Yes.
She was on also CTV News Channel. She actually has spent some time at Global, being on the news there. So she was all over.
I'm sure I've seen her. Yeah.
Because when she was at CTV, they had the 2010 Olympics, and she actually was co-hosting the Olympic morning program. And she also reported on the first inauguration of Barack Obama. So she was a big deal, and sadly, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she succumbed to this terrible disease at the very young age of 61.
Oh my goodness, and so fast. So
Well, I think she fought it. I think she maybe had multiple bouts. She was an active figure when it came to raising funds for charities like the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. I know she was a voice for people. And then sadly it took her awful news. So this is from September. But I just wanted to say that I enjoyed her work, and I enjoyed seeing her on our televisions, and she will be missed.
Yes.
Also, again, this is the Ridley Funeral Home segment, so there's going to be some death. Do you know the name Howard Christensen?
Yes, but remind me, though.
Okay,
I'm sorry to be such a blank
it's okay.
slate
Listen,
here.
I don't give you... Although this document is shared with you, you could theoretically peek at it over
I
the
didn't
past
know
few
that.
months. It's shared with you, your Google account, yeah.
Oh,
but
okay. I never do
now
that.
you know. Now you know.
I'll
You
be
fine.
better prepared next
I like
time.
to blindside you with all this going on here.
Okay.
So I'm what I know him best from is he founded Broadcast Dialogue, and I still will once a week peek at the Broadcast Dialogue. Connie Thiessen is there and others, and I will check out what's going on in the Canadian media zeitgeist. It's kind of a you mentioned we're one of the few places talking about radio in this, and that's one of the other few
You're right.
places.
I had forgotten. Yes, you're right.
And he passed away, so I just wanted to pay respect to the founder of Broadcast Dialogue, Howard Christensen. And here, I'm wondering if you know this name because of your father's career in radio and your exposure to it, but do you know the name Bill Brady? And he was a longtime London broadcaster, and he was an Order of Canada recipient, and he had a short stint at CKEY, which maybe would make him known to some Toronto listeners. But Bill Brady passed away. Does that name mean anything
It
to
does.
you?
Yeah. A veteran broadcaster, yeah.
So our condolences
Very much, yeah.
to them. And of course, we've already discussed Steve Cropper, but I didn't want to just talk about all the big names that you're going to be hearing about everywhere, and everybody will be talking about, because these people, I feel, are more local, and they're doing a lot of work that I respect, and I wanted to pay tribute.
Right.
Beverly, Howard, Bill, and Steve. Okay. Hello, Steve. International guy. But Canadianity, this section I call Canadianity, and it is brought to you by Nick Iones, who happened to be in this very basement this morning. I spent some time with Nick. I'm going to have him on Toronto Mike next Friday because I got questions for him for my show. But Nick has a couple of great podcasts here. He has a podcast called Building Toronto Skyline and another one called Building Success. Steve Packham was a recent guest on that one. And Steve Packham, I texted him to say he'd be great for the Metro Morning job. And he had less than zero interest in that gig. I think he's really liking his new fiercely independent career now that he's no longer full-time at TVO.
Indie. He's indie. He's gone indie.
You know what? There's no one more indie than yours truly, okay? But Steve's catching up there.
Yeah.
Steve's catching up there.
Yeah.
So thank you to Nick Iones and Fusion Corp Construction Incorporated. What's the name of that company? Fusion Corp. I'll just leave it there. And I got to nail the P. He says I was skipping the P in Fusion Corp. But here's a couple of Canadianity items I wanted to discuss. One is this. Jersey milk. Did you ever consume a chocolate bar known as Jersey milk?
Oh, yeah, baby.
So, did you like it?
Yes, very much. I was a chocolate bar aficionado, hence my girlish
I was just
figure.
thinking, you're looking good.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that.
You
Thank
still biking?
I'm rowing now because I'm finding it too cold to bike. But
And water?
No, I'm rowing in the basement.
Okay,
but I'm doing it diligently.
So you can't only because maybe I'm speaking as a guy who's going to be biking to the Danforth Music Hall tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you won't bike when the temperatures go below zero.
0.
Minus. 10. You're like Monica. She taps out at like 15 degrees.
No, I tap out at 5 or 6 degrees. Yeah, like it just gets, and I don't have proper winter wear.
Okay,
that's the thing. My hands get cold.
The pro tip here is just get a good pair of gloves and wear a balaclava.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just proper layering, and then something on your feet that's not running shoes.
The thing that threw me off the last couple of times I rode was the trail is blocked off in the Don Valley near where I live, where they're putting in the Ontario line, and so the construction is getting in
messing
the way.
with your trails.
Yeah, and it just after a couple of times of running up against this blocked trail and then having to backtrack and so forth, it added more kilometers to my total, but it was annoying, and especially because I had appointments to get to.
I hear you.
So
you got destination rides.
But I'm a cycling enthusiast. But now, how did we get? Oh, Jersey Milk.
Well, yeah, because you're looking good, but you do love your chocolate bars.
I do I love my junk food, not junk food like McDonald's and stuff, but chocolate
Jersey
bars.
Milk.
I like. Yeah, there were a bunch of that was Nielsen's, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Nielsen's made a bunch of candy bars that I really liked, and not that I was an aficionado in that I knew who invented this or that, but just I liked them. So
we had Jersey Milk from 1924 to 2025. That's over 100 years, but they are no longer making Jersey Milks.
Right. Well, that's a shame. Like the chocolate was so great compared to, say, Hershey's.
I was a
chocolate.
big fan of Jersey Milk.
Yeah. There's a bunch that I still think of fondly. If I ever find a burnt almond, I would like that. That's a Cadbury's burnt almond, but it's not widely available for some reason. So,
well, I wanted to shout out the Jersey Milk. That's a good run. But
it's a good one.
It's a good one.
I like Bridge Mixture, and I also kind of like the Cherry Blossom, which to me, both Bridge Mixture and...
I have a Cherry Blossom here because, the guy who's been talked about quite a bit on this program, Rob Pruis, gave this to me, and because I've never had one.
Well, have you had it yet? Is it an empty box?
No, it's still in there.
Oh,
I was going to maybe live stream my Cherry Blossom eating.
Break it out now.
Well,
I'm a fan. But both that and Bridge Mixture to me are old lady chocolate. And yet I have no problem eating them.
This news is pretty fresh here.
Okay.
This comes from a chap named Brett Chang.
Okay.
And Brett Chang reports that Alex Taylor and I have bought back The Peak. 5 years from now, we believe it can be the largest independent media business in Canada, and we're putting our foot on the gas to get there. In 2020, Alex and I created The Peak, and over the next 3 years, along with our incredibly talented team, grew it to the point someone wanted to buy it from us. We said yes, it was a good opportunity, and to be completely honest, we needed the cash. Media has changed a lot since we started a tiny newsletter during the depths of COVID. Some things are now more difficult, but there are some real opportunities. We're focused on the latter. Don't worry, we're not going to mess with a good thing, but we think it can be better, and there are a lot of new ideas to try and products to launch. So this is basically The Peak. If you don't know, it was sold to Moses Znaimer's company at Zoomer for $5 million, which was comprised of $3.5 million cash on closing, and then I guess $1.5 million promissory note. That's how they roll. Mm-hmm. And again, pure speculation, but I'm not even sure that ever happened, but it's back in the hands of the founders. So The Peak serves busy Canadian professionals and business leaders with the top global business, finance, and tech stories of the day, packaged in a smart, fast, and easily digestible format. That's the PR statement. So there you go. It was sold off to Moses and Zoomer, and now it's back.
So funny. I mean, not funny, but like as a completely passive observer of all the machinations in the media world, it just never stops. It's change is the one constant.
Right.
People buying, selling, downsizing most often, sometimes expanding various endeavors. Founders cashing out. It's an interesting world.
Yeah, I would like to know if Alex or Brett are listening, I would like to know of that $5 million deal. Because I was thinking, okay, well, would you sell TMDS for? I would sell TMDS for $5 million.
I'd buy it for $5 million.
Do you have that kind of cash?
Well,
cut me a check.
I think
Let's
in the
do it.
car. I think there's
Go get it. No way here.
that
A
gym
briefcase
bag.
comes.
It's a
out.
gym
It's
bag.
a gym bag.
Yeah,
That's even cooler.
Yeah.
I feel like
gym bags are cooler.
Like Jackie Brown or
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
the Raptors bag.
Yeah.
It was a Raptors bag.
Who was I friends with? Who? Oh my goodness.
Kept his money in a gym bag.
No, yeah. It just flashed back. We were having dinner. I was having dinner with Lisa Del Bello.
Oh, you know what? Another person I met in your kitchen who I'm trying to get on Toronto Mic.
She was telling me about
Let's tango. Sorry.
you and your voice. Wow, I couldn't do that. But no, she was telling me about sharing a living space in Los Angeles with Pam Grier from Jackie Brown.
Of course.
Yeah. The Jackie Brown.
Those great black exploitation movies in the 70s.
And how they had a conflict, but they worked it out. And she said she was
That's a legend.
The most beautiful woman she had ever seen in her life. She would come down ready to go out, and Lisa would be like, "Oh my God!" Like she was speechless with how beautiful Pam Grier was. So.
I can only imagine. Now, how do we get Lisa Del Bello on Toronto Mic? Do you know I'm collecting all the Tears Are Not Enough performers?
Well, Lisa and I have been hanging out a little bit more, not so much in the last
bring her
few
over.
weeks,
You can co-host.
Well, I will ask her if she'll do that. She's, she feels for some reason that her stories aren't interesting. And
oh my God.
She said that, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like her stories, oh my God. First of all, she'll not name drop, she'll name check, because it's not name dropping. With her, it's very modest. She'll name check somebody like, who, if you're in the music industry and if you've been in the music industry for any length of time, you know these names. Like she'll say Bobby Colomby, for instance, and I'll be like, oh my God, like from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and she'll say yes, but by now he was in A&R Man. He was my A&R Man, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I could do it 90 minutes on Tears Are Not Enough. Just get her over here.
Yeah,
this is your
that's
homework.
Probably what she's afraid of. You doing 90 minutes on Tears Are Not Enough.
Well,
because I think for her that was probably just a little blip.
Okay, well, fine. I'll do a half an hour on it.
Just because it was so meaningful. To
well, we're going to cover a lot of ground. Okay, well, listen, this is my show. It's not Toronto Lisa.
I think you could have Stu Stone by and just have him sit and watch while she talks about Jeff Picaro, her boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can make that happen. So don't tempt me with a good time.
Okay,
Blair. How often did you enjoy a pint at the Imperial Pub?
I did quite a few times over the years, but not like I wouldn't go multiple times in a year. I would meet somebody there, whatever. But over the years, I enjoyed that space a lot. It was good. It was a nice spot.
It's now done. Even that sign is gone already.
Yeah, that iconic sign.
Yeah. So 81 years that Imperial Pub was not too far there from Yonge and Dundas.
No, a real Ryerson hangout.
Now known as the TMU, but not this TMU, a different TMU. And November 15th was the last round of drinks. And right. I think shortly before that, I was there with Robert Lawson, the official fact checker of the Toronto Mic podcast, and Cam Gordon, who's in the FOTM Hall of Fame, and his wife, who may or may not be a journalist known as MF, and we were all enjoying a pint at the Imperial Pub, and it's just sad that it's going to be gone after 81 years.
Yes. It's sad. Any kind of hangout that goes away, I feel a little sad about, because there are people whose lives were sort of invested. It was like their Cheers, it was a place where everybody knew your name.
Absolutely.
I didn't have that. I have that a little bit at Noonan's Pub on Danforth, which I love.
Sure.
Jane Noonan.
I'll be down the street tomorrow night.
There you go. It's just 3 doors away.
Yeah.
Jane Noonan is the proprietoress, and she comes all the way from St. John's and bought the pub, I don't know, before COVID, I guess. And she's been great in terms of hiring local talent, including me occasionally, but also just some great acts. Timbo Vacanti plays there a lot. They have a great open mic on Monday nights. Anyway,
he's with the Guess Who now.
Is he? He's been with Burton for years.
But he's going to be. I believe he'll be in the.
I believe
band.
so. Yeah, I believe
that's cool.
So. Yeah, Tim knows.
I think that's amazing.
Tim
I heard from his wife
guitar.
recently.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny's great.
Amazing. Okay, and you brought him on this show, and you can do the same with Del Bello. Okay.
All right.
One last note before I go to the mailbag, because this question involves you. But Kevin Shea, who is a beloved FOTM, he's been on many times to either talk about his A&R career with Attic Records and more.
Nicest guy in show business, other than Steve Waxman.
Well, now that Rob Bruce is anti-Marcone, I think you're right.
That really turned my feelings about Rob Bruce, like totally.
So Kevin Shea has announced, though, he is retiring from his longtime gig at the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's retiring.
Yes, he
So just wanted to give some love to Kevin Shea, who opened the TMLX we had last November at Palma's Kitchen. He opened it with a tremendous 21-minute story. And the joke is some people are like, you gave this guy 21 minutes off the top? And I'm like, yeah, because it was a great 21-minute story. You can't rush that story.
That's right.
So we love Kevin Shea, and congrats and good luck in retirement, Kevin Shea.
That's like my Steve Cropper joke, by the way. 21 minutes, which is why we won't be sharing it.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Okay. Need to hear that one later. Okay. Mailbag. You can open the next TMLX of the Steve Cropper story. 21 minutes off the top.
I don't know if I can. It's Kevin Shea.
Is it a good story or not?
No, it's not a story. It's a joke that Steve Cropper could barely tell me because he was laughing so hard.
Okay.
He told it to me in a car while we went shopping in Hawaii with his wife Angel, who is a lovely person. I really enjoyed hanging out with them.
Love it. Here's the mailbag. I got a question. It goes, "Hey Mike, I am a long time." I know I'm taking
I like
a deep
the way
breath.
you paused.
Hey Mike.
Yeah. Are you not going to answer yourself?
I am a loyal listener of your podcasts over the last few years.
Yeah.
Going back and listening to episodes that I have not listened to. Always very interesting and entertaining. I just listened to Lou Pomanti. Pomanti? Am I saying it right? Yeah. Pomanti, who, when I last saw Nelly Furtado perform, it was at the Hall of Fame, I guess.
Right, and Lou's the band leader, yeah.
And Lou's the band leader.
He's unbelievable. He's
excellent.
He's a wonderful player. He played on Last of the Red Hot Fools too, by the way.
God, everyone did. Okay. Very entertaining.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sweet Lou. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard, okay, you listening, Blair?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard of Bob Reed? He was a host on Talk 1010 for many years and is a longtime musician. Is the current keyboardist for the Toronto cover band Tailor Made Band, who play monthly at Timothy's on Brown's Line. That's a South Etobicoke haunt. Yep. And also at Drums and Flats on Avenue Road. He seems to have a great knowledge of the Canadian music scene. He may be a good interview for you. Your fan, Alan Michelino.
Nice. That's a nice note.
I saved that note for you.
Yeah.
Because Andy Stochansky, Lisa Del Bello, these
apparently
are people I've seen in your living room.
I've got a wish list.
I've seen Bob Reed in your living room.
Yes. Yeah, and you're asking, can
tell
I
tell the listenership, how do you know Bob Reed?
Oh, well, okay. So Bob and I did our show on News Talk 1010 for 11 years. It was called In the Studio, as I previously mentioned. And I got on that show because I was a guest. I was invited to be a guest on an episode about songwriting with the great songwriter and musician Greg Wired. So we
I know Greg because he's been on Humble and Fred's show, which I produce.
Okay, and he's a wonderful performer and a really good guy. So we were on as guests together, and I remember it was at the station. It was live at the station, live on the air at the time. Which when Bob and I did the show later, we hardly ever did one live. But this was live, and Greg Godovitz was the co-host with Bob Reed. And I remember thinking, wow, Greg's pretty good at this. And I also thought, I could do this. Right. And I also thought, Bob's wife Gina was there, and I thought, she's hot. Those are all my thoughts.
All those thoughts at once.
And I thought, I really like Bob. And it was really around that time my marriage was coming apart, and I was very unhappy. And I needed a change. I had been writing music for film and TV for a long time, and I wanted to keep doing that, but the work wasn't coming, and I'm about to get divorced, very likely, and it's a scary time. And so I called Bob thinking, and I said, I want to be in radio. I want to do what you do. I think I could do a good job at it. I have some radio experience and so forth. Do you have any suggestions for me? And I bought him a beer, and he was very complimentary about the jitters, about my work. I ended up being the most booked guest on their show. So on his show with Greg Godovitz. So Bob was really helpful, and we became friends through that. And then Greg was moving out of town to Calgary, which is where everybody moves apparently. And he was moving to Calgary, and at first he wanted to see if he could do the show remotely, but CFRB wasn't into that idea because it would have cost money. At that time, the internet wasn't. You
need an ISDN line.
Exactly, which is a rental. You were paying Bell for the rental of the phone lines. So they didn't want to do it. So then Bob asked him somewhat cagily, well, who do you think would be a good guest host? And Bob had already asked me if I wanted to be, if I wanted to take over. But he wanted it to come from Greg because he knew Greg might get mad if Bob suggested it himself. So Greg suggested me. So then with that in mind, I took over the co-hosting thing, and then turned out Greg wasn't coming back. He ended up coming back, but by then I'd been doing the show for 3 years or something, longer than Greg had been doing it. So at that point, Bob was comfortable, and I ended up the co-host for Bob with 11 years. Now, Bob's a terrific musician, and he's a songwriter, and he just loves music. He eats and sleeps and drinks music. And we have that in common, but we just really like each other. It's fun to hang out with him.
And not to bury the lead, but I have met Bob Reed in your living room.
There you go. Well, yeah.
Although I do recall him having like little to no interest in being on this program.
Yeah.
Do you recall that?
I do. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why.
So I get this note from Alan, a very thoughtful note. Alan, hope to see you at a future TMLX event. And it's about getting Bob Reed on, and he's on 1010, and I'm like, yeah, he was on 1010 for 11 years. The guy he was chatting with is Blair Packham, who comes on every quarter for Rewinder. And I remember you introducing me to Bob, and I felt like it was maybe because Bob might, visit the basement here. And Bob made it pretty clear. I felt that, nice to meet you, but I didn't get any vibes he's coming down here anytime soon.
I would say that's entirely accurate. I haven't asked him recently, but when I did ask him, he seemed uninterested.
But we're going to get Stochansky, and we're going to get Lisa Del Bello.
That's right.
Bob, you're off the hook. You don't have to come on Toronto Mike, don't worry. But there you go, the mailbag. And I would just let the listenership know that every quarter I read an email or two. Just send it to Mike at torontomike.com about whatever you want us to discuss or read on the Rewinder episode. And just if you don't mind, put Rewinder in the subject line so I know it's for Rewinder. And we'll read it because, Blair, you will be back here. So January, February. You'll be back here in early March for another episode of Rewinder.
I'm waiting with bated breath. This is always so much fun. Thank you for having me.
And Merry Christmas to you.
Yes. Happy holidays to everyone.
And I'll see you at the Trues tomorrow at the Denver Music Hall.
I'll be outside busking.
You know what? Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, man. You are one of my favorite I say this to all the FOTMs. No, you're one of my favorite FOTMs, and I love that we have I'm going to get a visit from you 4 times a year.
Yeah, minimum. And then I'll see you at live events and
well, I don't know. The last 2 I didn't see you there.
Well, I'm trying to. Scarcity is scarcity makes me more valuable.
And that, shout out to Stu Stone. And that brings us to the end of our 1,813th show, 1813. Wow.
What a great year that was.
Yeah, you know what? Yesterday's episode, I said it. When I said it in the intro, I said, episode 1812, and I go, like the war.
Like the war, so much like the war. This podcast is so much like the War of 1812.
Well, absolutely.
Or yesterday's was anyway.
Well, I think the war went for a couple years, so we're still in the war.
Did you burn down the White House? That's what I want to know.
I always think of Laura Secord warning the Brits that the Americans were planning an invasion.
That's why I think of Laura Secord, because of the chocolate and the Jersey milk. We're tying everything back together.
I'm still upset. Laura Secord was in Cloverdale Mall. She was, and she's no longer there.
Oh,
shout out to Laura Secord, my next guest on Toronto Mike. No, go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Can you name the bonus jams? Is that Mark Daly? No.
Oh, it's Subdivision. Yeah, right.
So Rob Proust cooked this up recently as a new one, but that's Mr. Dress Up. Shout out to FOTM Steven Stone. This is Degrassi. I got to read this outro real quick, though.
Yep.
But let's do one more. This is my favorite coming up right here. Wait. I like that. Okay. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Retro Festive. Go to the store in Oakville. Polka Dot Door. Go to retrofestive.ca, everybody. Use the promo code FOTM. Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Nick Ieni's, recyclemyelectronics.ca, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all next week. We're going to talk consumers distributing on Mondays. See you then.